Greetings, my name is Philly Stone, my website is digitalmystics.org. You've watched the first video and hopefully, having followed the instructions and reasoned a way in which the key might be acquired, you're now in possession of the key and you can see the reality beyond the veil of deception. And it's probably, or maybe not, but it's possibly a very distressing thing to realise that you are naked in ways that even taking all your clothes off would never quite relate the truth of. And that nakedness is something which people all around you have kept you deceived about your entire life. I think it's maybe at this stage that the religions, let's call them, the cults are kind of make gains through this deception and the revelation of this deception. It's at this stage where they will be telling you to, or expecting you to put on some clothes so that their so-called gods can come and give you into trouble for putting on some clothes, but their God is truly not the God of all creation. It's just a kind of like deception that's been pulled over people's eyes, and you can clearly see that since they're willing to acknowledge this to be the God of their particular cult and not the God of the other cults, who no one can deny are in fact creations of the same true God at some level as their own cult, who will believe in only one God that created only a part of reality, the part of reality that they like, and their God is ultimately a God that's good to them and bad to the people that they don't like. In other words, a human made God, a man-made God built upon a magical illusion. The God I believe in is a mystery. To me, I don't comprehend the maker of the material reality, and if you have the key, you will already be aware that I am aware of other aspects of reality beyond the material reality. So this mysterious creator of all things is bewildering to me. I can't really find myself on my knees bowing to anything that just claims I'm God, even if it's a massive deception that's been pulled over my eyes my entire life. It has ultimately got to add up to reason, and it would appear that there are people who come into this awareness of how big the deception is that I'm prepared to abandon reason to try to attain the promise of happiness. And a promise is worth nothing until it is fulfilled. So they spend most of their life very unhappy within their own hearts, trying to appear like happy people in order to get more stuff, which is never going to make them happy. But anyway, that aside, I suppose what you need, having acquired the key, is how you can become like they are. And it may be that right now you're like, I don't want to become like one of them, that is terrible, that is evil. And it has to be said that there are, the loudest of them are evil to an extreme, and it's better that you know that they are there, rather than being blissfully ignorant of the kind of things that these people have been doing to you your entire life, and are now perhaps a bit distraught that you know the thing that they have tried to hide from you. But the truth itself is not evil. It's just the way that certain beings use the truth, and the naivety about the truth, and even the ignorance induced through fear, to exploit people. And there is no doubt there is evil beings and awareness of the truth, but the truth in and of itself is not evil, and not all beings who are aware of the truth are evil. So what I'm suggesting is that you don't take a hold of this truth and become like they are, in the sense of being exploitative and destructive and fear creating, but you take a hold of this truth and use it in a manner that you would use it for, and certainly don't surrender that beautiful soul which nurtures life, which is the salt of the earth, to those whose paths are all about destruction. So, how do you learn this magical skill? You have to understand that the real magic is the magical illusion that has been pulled over your eyes your entire life. And what you're coming into here is the reality. The skill is not something that you're always using this skill constantly. It's just that you've been misguided on how things are working. There are things within you that aren't actually within you at all. If I was to show you a picture of something, your eyes would look at that picture and your being would be affected by the thing that you saw in the picture. Maybe it would be like a child giggling holding a set of balloons. Maybe it would be a man with a ski mask wielding a chainsaw covered in blood. Now, imagine that you had been raised with a blindfold such that there wasn't any blindfold at all, but any time that you saw anything with your eyes and tried to relate, here, I can see the sun in the sky, I can see the sky is blue, I can see the grass is green. And though there would be no word for green or blue or the various things that you're seeing, you would try to relate this to people. And if you were brought up in such a way that your own eyesight was being denied to you, then you might presume that when you see the white fluffy things in the blue sky, that what's going on must be something internal to you, because no one else acknowledges that these things are going on. This is me trying to describe a scenario of one of the five senses which people deliberately don't acknowledge in some abused, neglected child. But this is the abuse and neglect that's been going on your entire life with regards to your sixth sense. Your seventh and eighth, there is an array of senses which you have, which you have learned to assume to be an internal part of you, but they are not an internal part of you at all. They're in fact external. And they are very similar to things which are internal to you. Such that you might not make the distinction between your emotions and your feelings. You may feel sad because you are hungry. This is an emotion. But you may also feel sad and have no explanation for it. And in all likelihood, this is because someone you are telepathically connected to is feeling sad. You're living in a world where telepathy is just a fiction. And if you are to believe the world, then it's not possible to feel the emotions emanating from other people. And if you come to the conclusion that what you're feeling is their emotions, you begin to realise the magical illusion that you're living in, believing the words which are spoken by people in the three-dimensional five-sense reality. This emotional and feeling aspect of telepathy is the area which empaths concentrate on. And for all that's said about empathy, I mean to distinguish that from compassion. If I'm to see a video of, I don't know, like a child being hurt by some tragic event, I kinda have the compassion to put myself in that child's shoes and say that would be terrible, and I can sympathise with the suffering through imagining what it would be like for me to be in that position. This is not the same as empathy in the empathic, telepathic kind of sense. To actually feel the emotions of another. And I'm not saying you're not empathic if you don't know this. I'm saying that you are empathic and you just don't realise that it's going on. And people who are empathic but without compassion are exploiting your ignorance of this remote causation which is within you, that you assume to be some internal thing that you don't comprehend. when in fact it's an external thing that's deliberately suppressed from your awareness by people who would tell you that the folk with voices in their head, for example, are people who are delusional, when it's far from being a delusion, and there is a dynamic going on as to why these people are declared to be delusional when they are not. But it's not just this, like, the emotional feely thing that's happening. It's like even your thoughts aren't private, and some of the things that are going through what you might imagine to be your brain is not actually your thoughts at all, but the thoughts of another being. So not only do you have the need to unlearn the things that you've learned about how your emotions and feelings work, but you have to be able to distinguish between your own thoughts and the thoughts that are emanating to you. Your thoughts are emanating to the world, a world which declares that it's just electrochemical signals that are bouncing around inside your skull. But the reality is your thoughts are literally emanating to the world, and you're affecting the brains of other people, and their brains themselves are emanating thoughts which are affecting your brain. I don't like the idea of brain because it seems to be, I mean, the brain does exist, it's a piece of meat within the human body, but the way it works is not understood, and what it actually does is not understood. And the people who seem to say that the mind is in the brain seem to be blissfully unaware that there is more going on than just thoughts bouncing around inside our skull. And it's only these people who are oblivious to the telepathic reality who are convinced that the brain and the mind are the same thing. So when I use the word brain, I use it in a somewhat demeaning fashion to suggest that there are people who believe that the mind and the brain are the same thing. I don't understand what the nature of the meat is to the nature of the spirit, and the mind, the thing that thinks and reasons and comprehends, to me isn't a piece of meat, it's a faculty of our beings, and our beings having the ability to emanate and having the ability to detect emanations is more than simply this piece of meat which seems to be disconnected from the other pieces of meat, and yet we're all connected by what could at best be described in the world of absolute scientific proof to be some sort of telephone network, but that would be a very human explanation of something which has been created by something far more complex than we can comprehend. We can say it exists, but there is a lot of problems because there are people who are aware of it who want to lie and say it's not true, ha 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 ha, and there are people who are unaware of it who refuse to believe it because it goes against everything that they're being told to believe by people who have kind of, let's just say, they've tore up the clothes of the people who have spoke the truth, divided it into lots, and kind of used what they know to exploit all the other people. I'm a believer that the truth should be spoken from the rooftops, and right now I live in a time and space where the truth is suppressed, and to even speak the truth is something that invites a great hatred from those who perhaps once became greedy and evil towards the naive and the innocent, when they should have instead been trying to do good by their fellow beings by helping them to see the greater truth rather than trying to take advantage of their ignorance. And this is the only way that I can speculate why the truth was ever lost, because I don't know. Those who knew before me will not even acknowledge that they know anything at all, except to say they'll demonstrate that they are very aware, but they'll say nothing about the fact that they are aware at all. So that leaves people like me who are aware and also have been the subject of the abuses of these others who are also aware, to awaken others to the truth and have them realise that not everyone who comes into the fuller awareness beyond the having the key but having gone through the gate, not everyone is an evil monster trying to destroy you. And it gets very difficult to relate the truth of that to those who haven't even acquired the key, who are convinced by the three-dimensional five-sense reality, which must be ruled by the evil side of things. That the truth is a delusion and the delusion is the truth. So, without further ado, this is how to become telepathic, having had the key revealed to you, perhaps in a traumatic manner, perhaps in a way that was very nice. Perhaps you've been lucky enough to have a guide to help you there in the physical plane, but if you have, and lucky you, there are people out there who are only semi-aware of, you only have the key, and they are under a constant siege by mad monsters who want to keep them in a state of panic and fear, because the panic and fear that was surmounted on them all their life was not enough to keep them in the dark forever, and such that when they woke up to part of the truth, they just increased the fear factor, so that they are always in a state of fear and anger and desire and all these things which lead to the madness of not believing in the delusion. So that is basically the way in which it is being done. You're being kept in a long-term state of fear and worry and anxiety, which takes you out of the state of grace that you need to be in to be aware of the telepathy which is going on. Don't trust any spirit which you'll become aware of as you step away from the anxiety and in towards the grace, because you'll get spirits who will declare themselves to be God, or your dead ancestors, or reptilian overlords, or Freemasons, or the government, when really they could be anyone at all. You've no actual way of knowing. So this revelation that you get by having the key, the main lesson you should learn from is how deceptive the world is. And a promise is really worth nothing until it is fulfilled. So if you're sitting there watching this video thinking, oh, this guy's going to make me telepathic, I've done nothing for you. All I've done is relate a way in which you might be able to acquire the understanding to recognise your own latent telepathic ability, the thing that's always been yours within you, being misled in a world that says it's all a big delusion. It's worth nothing to you that I have told you. The thing that's worthy of being trusted is your own experience, which hopefully I've related how to acquire for yourself. But it's worthless just to believe me because I say so. So you don't even trust me, because there's even things that I am still deceived about. And if I have been lucky enough to awaken you to this thing that you've been deceived about, recognise that there are things that maybe I'm deceived about that I would hope, as a fellow being in truth, you would help awaken me to. So, I myself am not necessarily worthy of trust, but what I'll say is that I am the most trustworthy human being that you will ever meet in this whole situation. But can you trust me to say that? And there are people who will appear to be more trustworthy than me. He's not even shaved, he wears a hoodie. He's got a funny accent from some far-flung corner of the world. Look, he's not even the same colour of skin as you, he's from a different religious background from you. There are many reasons not to trust me, which are not reasons to mistrust me at all. And there are many reasons to trust other people, which are not really reasons to trust people at all. In Scotland, I'm going to show you a banknote here, just to tell you this is a Scottish banknote, and just there, the small writing, which I can't really bring into focus on the camera that I've got, it says, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £10 sterling. When you investigate the nature of that promise, you realise that the whole monetary system is built on an empty promise. That is how much a promise is worth. When the very basis, the thing that everyone trusts, is an empty promise. This is how much you should trust. Trust is gone. Trust your instincts. Not me, not the people who are misleading you. Trust your experiences, but recognise there are people putting you through experiences deliberately to deceive you. This is how much trust you should have for the world. And when you step into the world that is beyond the world that you thought that was, recognise there are deceptions going on there as well. But having the key only makes you aware that there is a world beyond the world that you thought was. Stepping through the gateway is the thing that you really need to do next in order to see the world with your own experience, as opposed to just the tall tales of people who'll say this is more than just a bit of paper. The religions, if you were to take the truths that were Jesus' own words within Christianity, But I'm sure I could say the same with what the Buddha said or what Muhammad said. If you were to take the truths of what these holy people said and reword what they said in your own words and relate this to the people who proclaim to believe in these things, suddenly you would find out they don't actually believe it at all. They just say they believe it in a kind of robotic, repetitive fashion. This is not truly the truth of the religion, this is just the ritual. There are hidden truths within these mystical traditions which are ultimately the same truth. And those who are busy fighting over Muslim, Christian, Muslim, Jew, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, like the various fighting that goes on has got nothing to do with what the founders of these religions were actually saying. And it's to discover a truth which Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, all of these people have been trying to relate to people who are so busy trying to deceive and control and abuse people that the truth is being lost. So what I'm assuming that you want to do now is move past the key and turn the key and go through the gate. And I would suggest that you do this by meditation. I'll explain more on the next video.